Hello, welcome to Feed Quality Talks. My name is Tunde Agbola. The topic of discussion for today is the best moisture level for your feed and raw materials. The best moisture level for your feed and raw materials. I'll be back after this timeout. Welcome back. The best moisture level for your feed and raw materials. Moisture content is a topic that is worthy of consideration because moisture content is highly essential when it comes to the issue of feed and raw materials. It determines a lot of things, especially when it comes to how good or how bad a sample is. Moisture is the retained water in a particular sample at a given period. It is either determined through an instrument called moisture meter or oven. The moisture meter is very common among grain suppliers or distributors or users, while the oven is very common among the laboratories. Whichever method you use, what matters is the percentage of the moisture content in the sample that you are dealing with. Moisture is highly essential in feed and raw materials. It plays a very big role in its well-being. And in fact, moisture content determines the dry matter of a particular sample. When the moisture content of a sample is on the high side, then the dry matter will be low. When the moisture content is low in a particular sample, then be expecting a high dry matter content of that sample. Now, what are the big roles being played by moisture content in a particular sample of feed and raw materials? When it comes to storage ability of a sample, moisture is playing one of the biggest roles among all those materials. A sample with very high moisture content may not last too long in storage, while a sample that has very low moisture content will last very long in storage. Therefore, moisture determines the storage ability of a sample, and when a particular sample will start to be experiencing damage effect. However, when it comes to the standard level of moisture content in samples, I do advise people to stay by single digit. Single digit is the best. I mean, from 1 to 9%. Samples with such range of moisture will last longer in storage. However, the standard still allows up till 12%. That means anything beyond 12%, any value of moisture above 12% may cause some level of problem at the storage condition. There could be some problems for samples with higher than 12% moisture content in storage. It is advisable for you to use dry raw materials when you are preparing your feed. Dry raw materials will make you to have peace of mind concerning the feed you are producing. When you use wet raw materials to produce your feed, within less than 4-5 hours, go back to the feed and dip your hand into it. You'll be feeling heat in your hands. What is causing this? The reason for this is because you used wet raw materials. And when this heat is formed, it will now encourage the formation of mold. And when the mold is formed, it means there is presence of fungi. Fungi do produce metabolites. And when the metabolite produced is toxigenic, then you begin to have loads of mycotoxin in the feed or the raw materials. It is better for you to use dry raw materials when you are producing your feed. This will guarantee high quality feed. So if high quality feed is your goal, do not use wet raw materials, and peradventure you do not have any other thing to use, make sure that that feed that you produce is consumed that day by the livestock you produce it for. especially when it comes to the issue of poultry. It is not okay for you to produce feed with wet raw materials and now put it in storage, especially if you are into commercial production. Before even the feed will get to a distributor that will help you to sell the feed, it may be growing mold, it will form cakes, and all these things will have damaged the quality of the feed. Therefore, I'm saying it repeatedly, use dry raw materials always. And when you don't have dry raw materials, you have received a particular wet raw materials, maybe wet maize, wet wheat offer, wet wheat, and some other things. Make sure you have a drying plant where you can be drying all these raw materials. Nothing can come out of a feed that you use wet raw materials for except caking. And when this cake is formed, it is an avenue for other microorganisms to build up. Even apart from the fungi that is secreting the toxigenic metabolite, which will form loads of mycotoxin, it is very, very dangerous, because even the microbial load of the feed can become tripled within few days when you use wet raw materials. So, as a rule of feed safety, as a rule of high quality feed, it is better for you to patronize dry raw materials. And even when they do not come in dry, I will advise that you have a system, a drying system, whereby all the wet raw materials will be transformed into dry ones, so that later, by the time you produce your feed with the dry raw materials, you will have peace of mind. And this will now come against what you will have experienced when you use wet raw materials to produce. Because if you produce a feed that is caking, you can have a lot of problems, even with your distributor, even with your customers, even with your birds, because they will be developing one disease or the other. When you give wet material based feed to a poultry, they will not produce as expected, and in fact, mortality can increase if you keep using wet raw materials for your feed, because it will be as if you are inviting microbes to come and build their castle in your feed. So it is better for you to stay on dry raw materials at all times. Partner with those people that can supply you dry raw materials. It is highly essential. It protects your name, it protects your product in the industry, and it will make your customers to stay with your product. Therefore, at all times, let's produce efficiently, let's produce high quality feed by patronizing dry raw materials. Don't forget the permissible moisture level, single digit, up till 12%. When you stick to this, you will always have good output for your feed and for even the other products. As long as your birds are consuming dry feed, it will be very easy for you to track the source of anything that is happening to them. You will not be thinking, you will not be troubling yourself that, oh, is it the wet feed I gave to them? That means you have knocked off a particular factor out of those things that can cause one disease or the other, and that will now affect their production at the end of the day. So thank you for watching this video, and for more videos I will urge you to subscribe. Just click the subscribe button and the notification button. You can search Feed Quality Talks or Tunde Agbola on YouTube, and we have several videos that deal with quality of feed and raw materials, and you will always enjoy yourself coming to this platform to learn. Thank you.